Hello, friends. I welcome you all tonight again for this another interesting and very musical episode of Wild Wild Slide series that I've been doing since past 18 weeks, and this is the 19th episode tonight. And I am so happy and honored to invite a very great musician, very mature in his musicianship, his thoughts, and loads of life experiences. And his name is Guy Pernetti from USA. I think he is online, and I would waste no further time inviting him.
Hello.
Hi, hello, Guy. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Let us adjust our. Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, very well, and I can see you too, and the great studio that you have behind you.
Thank you.
Amazingly inviting musical space, I would say that.
Oh, thank you.
Full, full of
You want a
musical
little
warmth.
virtual tour?
Yeah, if it's possible, just sitting there for you, you can show us.
Yeah,
This
let's see
is
if this works.
incredible, guy. This is amazing. Wow, so many stuff, instruments, and albums and old style things and new style things, old technology, new technology, old equipments, new ones. Wow, I see so many things, amps and and this is a
Yeah,
perfect musician's heaven.
yeah. Well, when I come in here, I look at it as work.
Yeah, work in heaven.
Yep. So, how have you been? I dropped my slide. I had to pick it up here. Yeah. So, how have you been
So
doing?
is it? Yes, I'm fine, guy. Is it very early morning there? Or is
Say
it like
again?
okay for you? Is it very early morning there right now? What time is it there?
It's 9:30 in the morning.
Ah, not
Yes.
so early. It's totally fine. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, it's yeah, good to see you sitting comfortable on your chair and having a nice chat with all of us. Because so many slide guitarists will be watching this and will be really
Cool.
interested in your journey and how you approach this instrument. Because in every genre, this instrument takes a new avatar, let's say, because as per the music, as per the requirements, it suddenly transforms itself into something from blues to reds or let's say maroons or whatever,
Yes.
orange, whatever.
Yeah.
So I like the colors that this instrument shows in so many of its avatars and its transformations. So, Guy, please talk about your music a bit and introduce yourself to slide guitar world. And how would you introduce yourself in this show?
Okay. Well, I first started off as a flamenco and classical guitarist. And so I played for, I don't know, decades, nothing but nylon string. I was musician in
Uh-huh.
residence with University Circle in Cleveland. They managed the Cleveland Orchestra. And I did a music program in the veterans hospitals. It was a
Mhm.
residency. It was supposed to go for a year. It went for 3 years. But
Mhm.
also in the role of playing a professional working musician, I had to
Mhm.
learn many, many different styles. And that's
Mhm.
when I got into popular music and I got into rock and roll and all of this stuff. And then I heard some crazy good slide players. And I thought, boy,
Mhm.
I'd like to do that someday. And I got
Mhm.
an Oahu guitar. Oahu Music Company was in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. They claimed to be the biggest music company in the world, and they made their living selling Hawaiian guitars and
Mm.
lessons and music.
Wow.
So I had one of those, and I sat and looked at it for, I don't know, maybe 10 years. And then, yeah, I mean, you know, I just I couldn't get a handle on the slide for a while, and it was just a matter of
It's a
focus.
difficult shift. It's a difficult shift for many musicians who play normal guitar to slide into the sliding guitar. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, yes, yes,
And
yes.
to keep from dropping it too, you know.
Yes, true.
So so then after a while, like around 1995, not that long ago, really, for my history, I had this guitar and I super glued it together and I started
Mm.
learning how to play slide. And then
Mm.
I got uh, this guitar right here.
Ah.
And this is what I really learned how to play slide on, and how how I performed. And this was the thing that really honed my skills on it. And I put that
Mm.
lipstick pickup on it so that I could plug it in. But there have
Mm.
been times when I've been playing out when I forgot to turn the volume on, and the guitar was just loud enough to play in the bar.
Oh.
And my focus has always been, besides doing, the music and singing with the songs, my focus and my true love for my art, my musical art, was instrumental music. And so I
Mm.
started writing and composing instrumentals
Mm.
for the resonator guitar and for the lap steel guitar. And,
Mm.
and I tried to promote that. And, people in the business kept saying, well, that's nice, but we want you to sing too, So I had to follow that horse for a while too, but I still write my instrumentals and I still perform them. And when I play out, I put a lot of that stuff in there, along with like current hits, and old
Mm.
Beatles stuff and things like that. So
Mm.
that's kind of where I developed my love for the slide. And then it's
Mm.
interesting too, because when I started playing this, I would get these inspirations, and it was just
Mm.
like, my head became a funnel and somebody was pouring liquid into it. And I started writing all of these crazy songs, and
Wow.
I realized that for me, it's easier to express my thoughts musically than
Mm.
in words. And the
Mm.
current trend in popular music over here, anyway, is
Mm.
people will strum the guitar and a basic accompaniment to
Mm.
the lyrics of the song. And I don't mean that
Yes.
as a criticism, because some of the
Mm.
lyrics are just really crazy,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know.
Yes. Yes.
And poetry is going through some kind of renaissance in the song lyric
Mm.
part of it
Mm.
anyway. So most people emphasize the lyrics, and I do
Mm.
just the opposite. I emphasize the music, and
Mm.
so it's interesting, and when people listen
Mm.
to it, it takes them a little while, I mean, they tell me that I sort of grow on them,
Mm.
as I play.
Mm.
But I just can't stop. It's a compulsion. I mean, you're born a musician. You can't be anything else.
Definitely true. Very true. Very true. Very true. Can't agree more on this. Guy, please play some of your composition or some instrumental bit
All
or
right. Well,
dobro
this
or
one here.
anything you like. Mhm.
All right. I'm going to be playing this on a 1936 dobro, a California-made dobro, and it's a
Ah.
Beer Brothers dobro. And I don't know. Can you see the instrument a little bit there?
Yes, 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 very well.
Okay. And this is a
So
piece. I wish we had
it's
a wide angle lens so that I could give you the whole
uh,
shot. But this is a composition that I call Delta Dream. And I got to open for a kind of famous American slide player named David Lindley. And
uh,
at the time, I was also working with a Hawaiian guitarist, a fellow named Colin John, who I told you when we had our last conversation, he toured India. He did a blues tour of
mm,
India. And I
mm,
guess he went over pretty well, because he still gets
mm,
requests to go back. But that
mm,
inspired me. I heard this tuning, And I tuned this guitar to it, and all of a sudden, one of those inspirations came. And this is the song. It's called Delta Dream. Okay.
Please.
All right.
Wow. 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 Super. Wow. Wow. Wow, Guy, I'm so enthralled. I'm so enthralled. I'm so much in heaven, like Delta Blues. Amazing. Super
Thank you very
sounds
much.
from this vintage instrument, and your playing is excellent, precise to the point, like you killed it. Amazing.
Oh, thank you. Coming from you,
Amazing.
that's such an honor. Thank you.
No, 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 not at all. You really honored me playing that because, and all of us, because this is such classy stuff, and one can
Thank you.
feel not only the instrument, but you're playing total vintage, old wine.
Ah,
Great.
well, I'm an
So
old guy,
great.
so I guess I can't help but be vintage. You know what I mean?
Amazing. See, you are getting so many comments also mesmerizing and all that. Great, great. So many people enjoyed it. Great.
Cool. Thank you.
So I see that you have like you said before, that you took up to slide guitar playing at some point in your life, and then you hooked to it, and you are still getting better and better and better, and you are like exploring the whole the slide guitar world in your own way. You are at it, and I'm seeing that you are still there are still things left to be explored by you. You would love to like keep going on in this direction,
Oh,
and this
yes.
is yeah, this is a sign of of a of a real musician, I would say, because he doesn't really give up. He would just keep on going on, going on, going as impossible to stop, and that's where he excels. That's how he lives. That's what he breathes, and it shows in the music. The amount of time one has put in, the creativity, the whatever it takes to come to that level of playing.
Well, thank
I'm
you
so
very much.
happy. I'm so happy for this. So tell
Well,
us some more about. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, please. Yeah.
no, go ahead. What did you want? You tell me some more about what?
More about your life as a musician, how it developed, and how slide guitar kind of contributed to your musical, um, let's say, CDs or the records or tracks or live playing. How was it all like?
Well, it's interesting because when I first started playing the slide, I would hear what I was playing.
Mm,
But then when I started recording it, I was going, oh, there's stuff that I'm missing it because when you play, you're
mm,
so, involved, focused on your instrument, but
mm.
you're hearing it when it's right in your face. You're right on top of the instrument.
True, true.
But when people hear it outside, they don't
Mm,
necessarily hear what you hear. They hear the
mm,
instrument itself. And
mm,
so sometimes the things that you think are coming across don't
mm,
because you hear them, but
mm.
people don't. And then there are other
Yes.
things that come across that you don't hear that they do.
And they
And
do,
when you
yes.
listen to the recordings, you go, oh my goodness, I have to get rid of that. Or
Very true.
sometimes you go, oh, I really like that, and you incorporate it. But there was something, um, when you play music, it sets up kind of vibratory structures in the air.
Mm,
I mean, and this is scientifically provable. You can put a speaker in a bowl of water and it'll
mm,
make patterns. Well,
mm,
when you play,
mm,
when I play, let's say this, um, for me, it's like a form of meditation, and
mm,
I go into another world, another mode of consciousness, and then there
mm,
are things that flow. And
mm,
depending on what the circumstances in, what's happening in this particular universe that you're involved in at the moment, those
mm,
inspirations, those energies that come into you, um,
mm,
react to the moment where you
mm,
are in that particular universe at that particular time. And so
mm,
those things that come out then, they manifest themselves into the music. And
mm,
so the mood of the music or maybe the metaphor, although that's more of a literary term. Excuse me, the energy connection that goes to that part of your soul that plays music, that listens to music, that is involved in the being of music, that interprets that inspiration, and then it comes out. And if you're lucky enough to get it on tape, or you're lucky enough to practice it over and over and over again, you get to keep it, you know? So that becomes part of your repertoire. So as I was performing out, I would put, a couple of pieces of slide instrument in it, because I was a little tentative at first, I mean, you you have a new thing and you go, oh, maybe I'm not doing it well, or people won't like it. But people kept saying, more, please. And I was going, wow, more, please. Okay, So I went through a little period there where I became sort of a hermit, and I locked myself away in a studio, and I just practiced, and I played 7, 8, 9, 10 hours a day, every day, every day. My hands became so strong, and my left hand is actually stronger than my right hand, and I'm right-handed, but that comes from playing the guitar. But as these things started to develop, and the inspiration started to develop, the music started to develop, and then that grew my repertoire. And so I recorded my first guitar CD with slide music on it back in 2003. And you make your CDs and you bring them to your gigs, and so that's what I would do, and I'd sell them. Well, I sold over 10,000 of those CDs over the years. I mean, it took
Wow.
quite a few years, but yeah. So I mean, there were times when I'd show up at a gig and I'd sell 100 CDs, and I'd never experienced anything like that before. So it was the people that were in my audience that kind of inspired me to go ahead and develop the slide. I knew I was on the right track. And the important thing is that you connect with the people. But for me, I view being a musician kind of like being a lay priest. I don't know if that's vague or not, but I feel that, when you perform music, you're taking people out of their everyday lives, and their lives might be good, their lives might not be so good, but what you're doing is you're taking them away from the everydayness of their existence to something that is heavenly. I mean, we've talked about this before, you and I, about, the manifestation of all matter is really the invocation of the sound. The sound creates all matter, creates all energy, because all energy is very much alike. The only difference is the frequency, the waveform of it, and making that connection with this music was my prime motivating factor into doing this, because there are songs that I will not play.
Yes, yes, yes. We are back.
Okay. I wonder what happened.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes the connections, internet, all these things. This is also energy, and it materializes in some
You
funny
know.
ways sometimes. Yes, yes,
So
yes.
where did we leave off?
You were explaining that all is energy, sound, and how it manifests into matter, and then music, and then everything else.
Right.
Life
And
in
then
itself is energy.
well,
Yes,
yeah,
please go
and
ahead.
then I don't know if you caught the part where I said I feel like we're a lay priest, and that when we bring music to
Yes, yes,
people,
you
we
said.
bring the blessings of it. So that kind of was the compass that guided my journey through playing the slide and through playing regular guitar too, because I
Hmm.
do that too. It's 50-50 for me, you know.
Okay.
Um, Actually, there are some times when I'll write a piece on the slide guitar and I'll
Mm-hmm.
go play it on the regular guitar and it sounds better, and then vice versa too, I'll
Mm-hmm.
write a piece on the regular guitar and then I'll bring it onto the slide and I'll go, oh, that's even better. But also,
Yes.
it's the quality of the sound too. I use
Mm-hmm.
a couple of different effects when I play, but that's really only to um, enhance the guitar sound, because what I really want is that true acoustic sound. I don't want any
Mm-hmm.
electronic variations on it, at least on the slide. Don't get me wrong, I don't mean that generally. And
Mm-hmm.
there are certain things, that you can play on one guitar, you can't
Mm-hmm.
play them on the other. For instance, on this guitar here, there are certain things that I
Mm-hmm.
can play, but if I put it on a guitar like this,
Mm-hmm.
it just doesn't sound any good, you know. And
Please play
with that
this guy
cosmic,
something on this.
say that again.
Please play something on this one, please.
Oh, all right,
Yeah, so we can hear that sound too.
all right. This is a Gibson 7-string lap steel guitar,
Mm-hmm.
and the serial number on it
Mm-hmm.
is 462.
Mm-hmm.
This was the very first year that Gibson made electric guitars. And this is the
Oh.
400th electric guitar that they made. So it has much different
Wow.
sound, doesn't it?
Yes,
All
yes,
right.
yes,
So let me
definitely.
do a little styling on this and you can get an idea of what it sounds like. Well, I'm so tired of crying, I'm on the road again. I'm so tired of crying, I'm on the road again. I don't have a woman to call my special friend. But dear mama left me when I was quite young. But dear mama left me when I was quite young. She said, Lord have mercy on my wicked son. Take a hint from me, baby, please don't you cry no more. Take a hint from me, baby, please don't you cry no more. early one morning, it's down that road I'm going. Ain't going down that long old lonesome road by myself. Ain't going down the long old lonesome road by myself. Can't carry a baby, gotta carry somebody else.
Super great, another one. Amazing guy. Your music is great. You sing well too, and this song is also very good. Very nice.
Thank
Every
you.
shade of slide guitar player. I love. See, I live in India and I am surrounded by Indian sounds most of the times, and I practice
Well,
also
there's
Indian.
nothing wrong with that.
No,
Wow.
not at all, not at all, not at all. And I practice also in classical music. This is my main mode of playing. And so when I listen to these sounds are exotic for me, what you
Ah,
played. So it's
okay.
reverse, it's reverse because for you, maybe Indian classical sounds are very interesting and exotic and amazing, maybe in some, because we are doing a different we are touching different gamut of frequencies by playing our music, and
Mm-hmm.
you are another set of frequencies and all that. So we listen more to what we don't usually, and this creates very interesting audience listening and that experience of listening. So
We sometimes refer to that phenomenon here as world music, you know,
yes,
and
true.
I love it. You know, every time I hear things that incorporate all of those things and they meld into a metaphor, you know,
Yes.
the more um, different the metaphor is, or the more different the
Mm.
elements in the metaphor are, when they
Mm.
come together, they make a more dynamic and more powerful overall
Yes.
metaphor, you know?
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
what I love about what things are happening today, because we're taking those traditions and we're respecting our traditions and we're respecting our roots,
Mm.
but we're also respecting the new and evolving art forms. You know, it's like
Yes.
you're talking to the heavens, and you're my flower in heaven, and I am your root on earth. And our
Mm.
connection is the livingness of our energy. And
Yeah.
that's not any different anywhere in the world. You know, you can have cultural differences, you can have ideological or political differences, but the one thing that we share in common is that we're all human and we react to those things in the same exact way. You know,
Definitely.
it's just the
Definitely.
cultural elaboration that, you know, makes the difference. But when you
And
put these different metaphors together, you know, Indian music and
yes.
American music, or African music, um, it just does something. And I don't
Yes.
think that that's an accident. I don't think that that's just a happenstance of evolution, because,
Mm.
you know, throughout the history, you know, when the Europeans discovered North America and
Mm.
they brought folks from Africa over here, the
Mm.
music forms in Europe started to change. From the
Mm.
early, like from the 1500s, African music
Mm.
was
Mm.
influencing European music. And so you have
Yes.
those courtly dances, you know, the
Mm.
tarantella and all of that, that were inspired by music in the West Indies that was brought there
Mm.
from Africa. And so you have
Mm.
that same thing going on, you know, and so you have blues and jazz with their
Mm.
roots in African music, but
Mm.
blues and country are twin
Mm.
sisters. And they're
Mm.
just played a little bit different, but they have the same roots and everything. So
Mm.
what
Mm.
happens is people hear that thing, they hear the same thing, but they hear it in a
Mm.
different way,
Mm.
and they interpret it in a different way. It's just
Mm.
like putting a comma in a sentence. You say, please don't,
Yes.
comma, stop. Well, from
Mm.
another culture, they'll hear that sentence and they'll go, please, comma. don't stop. So just that comma makes a difference in the oppositeness of both of those interpretations. Well, that's the way it is with music, and that's the way people hear it. But, you know, the 1-4-5 progression in blues comes from classical music, and it comes from black folks from Africa interpreting that 1-4-5 progression in their own cultural way. Same thing with Indian music. You know, we were exposed to a certain amount of Indian music, but in the 60s, when the Beatles came over, people started going, hey, what's that instrument in the background? Oh, that's a sitar. And then there was this guy coming around who was playing all over the place named Ravi Shankar. And then people got to see it in person, and they looked at him playing that instrument, and they're going, wow, who plays like that? Who can move their fingers like that? You know, so that became really popular here in the States. And then again, that has influenced our music to an extent that people can't even realize. You know, the Indian diaspora of music, if that is a good enough explanation of it, has made its influence. I think that was a plan. I think that was a big cosmic plan. I think that it was meant to be, and that the evolution of cultures, we have our diversity, but you know how we respect our roots and honor the future. We are evolving towards a diverse population of a golden race, where we can see each other with the eyes that we're supposed to see each other with. Does that make any sense?
Total. I love this kind of talks and conversations because it resonates so much in me, and I feel that you are just taking words from my mouth or from my mind in a way, because I also connect with these things a lot, and I totally agree with these things. I totally agree that a new form of living, not only music but first living, and then a new way, a new form of the culturally living, and then culture, what does, or how cultures are evolved from this new style of living. Like this COVID thing is happening as a full stop to the old. The sentence is finished. The old sentence is finished. Please stop is finished, and now please, comma, begin. Let's begin is now the new sentence. And it's a beginning of sorts, because on all levels of human living, not only culture and music, which comes later, but first is the survival and how we really live our daily life and all that. in our environments, in our geographical places and all that. So this is all happening, and we are in a very, very volatile, what is the word, very powerful transitional time of human history of the earth, or the history of earth, because earth is for the first time evolved so much. I mean, this has happened hundreds of times before also, in the periods of, let's say, thousands of years and whatever. But this we are witnessing, the human consciousness is evolved enough to witness, understand, and assimilate, and see the process through, I hope. And so that the new beginnings of sorts should come out in its own organic way. No need to push anything here and there, but organically it will come with the collective, because how the collective consciousness of all races and all regions or countries or whatever it feels, then it collectively moves towards that current of energy, consciousness, and then it creates itself something new. It gifts itself something new in that sense, in terms of evolution, in terms of evolution means on all levels. It doesn't just not just of one level, because it's total, in totality it happens. So yeah, you're true. I totally agree and resonate with these kinds of things, because we are very lucky. I think we are all very lucky that we are witnessing these times of transition. Of course, there would be some inconveniences and distractions also, which is part of when something new is built or created. Well, old has to be removed in some way. And but it's hugely exciting times for a lot of us, because we are witnessing this amazing time in the history of human beings on Earth as a planet, because it's Mother Earth. It's a living planet. It's not dead kind of rock. It's a living planet. It's throbbing with life right from its core, right from its crystals of its core. So, and we are experiencing and we are influencing it, and it is influencing us in return. And so it's Earth is also transforming in that sense, in geological terms. The
Mm-hmm.
energy, the magnets, magnetic waves, and whatever scientifically we can say that.
Yeah. Well, and that
So,
stuff is measurable too, scientifically. But you know,
mm,
life is a spiral. And so, you know, you say, well, here we go again, the same old thing is happening, but you know it's not. You come around to the same place, but you're evolved a little bit. And right
yes.
now, as you were referring to, things are polarizing to an extreme
Mm,
degree. But you know,
mm,
nothing happens except by the opposition of two forces. You know,
definitely.
and
Very
that's the
true.
way the universe works. You have to
That's
have a
true. That's
lower
true.
jaw and an upper jaw to chew.
Yeah,
You have to have two
definitely.
hands to clap.
To
You have to
clap.
have an opposing thumb to grab things. Well, that's
Yes.
what happens with the cosmic forces too. So
Mm,
now, as things are polarizing to maybe, you know, I can't say for sure, but maybe to a greater degree than ever before, that
mm,
means it's what's going to happen is going to be to a greater degree than before.
mm,
And all the
mm,
naysayers and all the proponents, all the backers, everybody, we're all in the same boat. And like it or
mm,
not, you can go kicking and screaming, but you're going to keep going on that evolutionary spiral because it's like a juggernaut. It's
mm,
unstoppable. It's like
mm,
being swimming in a river that's raging with rapids. You know, you're not going to
mm,
swim upstream. You know,
mm,
you might try to fight against it, but you know, if you go with the flow, it's
mm,
better for you. You know what I mean?
mm,
And
mm,
people
mm,
need to learn to go with the flow. But you know,
mm,
we're such um, a complicated race, and we have so many different levels of evolution. And
mm.
sometimes people want to do something, but they just can't see it because they haven't evolved to the place where they actually have the ability to understand it. You
True.
know, it's like the sage once said, you know, if you look into the face of God, you'll die because it's too much for you to comprehend, you know.
Mm,
But you can kind of grab a glimpse, you know.
mm,
But as we evolve, we get more of those eyes to see and the ears to hear, you know.
mm,
And
mm,
then once you become conscious of it, I mean, really conscious of it, you know, you're not just drifting along with the tides of fate, but you're actually making a direction for yourself. Um,
mm,
it becomes easier and easier. And then it becomes like an addiction. You have to have it. I have to have that new
mm,
knowledge. I have to have that new energy. I have to have this evolvement in my own life. I have to have it for my family. I have to have it for
mm,
my extended family. I have to have it for
mm,
my country. I have to have it for my
mm,
world, you know?
mm,
I mean, just think if
mm,
everybody believed that, you know, well, I'm different than you and you're different from me, but I don't have to steal your land, or I don't
mm,
have to have your factories or your resources, but we can trade with one another, and we can trade our
mm,
culture, and we can trade our music. And
mm.
I mean, just think how great the world would be if we all got along, you know?
Yes. 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 Yeah, and you are very right that duality works actually in favor of unity always. It's the
Hmm.
undercurrent of the opposites that creates the unison in the end, and they are all conspiring to do the same thing, because from the different direction the two merge. And so the polarities are needed. That's how universe works, with polarities of things, plus minus, up down,
Hmm.
good, bad, and all that
Yes.
forces they have to rub together and create so much churning and this and that and blah blah blah, and that's how humans probably have chosen to evolve as a collective probably, and and all this is beautifully reflected in our arts. Down it's been almost documented, the whole human evolution in arts, let's say in paintings, in cave, right from the cave drawings to whatever monuments and
Hmm.
then this and that, and now we have equipments to record sound, which was not before, like maybe some 150 years or something ago it was not possible to record sound. So first time in the history we are able to record sounds, because it
Hmm.
was never possible before. The paintings could be painted and kept for like centuries, but sound, you cannot keep sound.
Yeah.
So for the first time in the history we are able to record sound, and it's an amazing revolution that the sounds of previous eras, previous worlds, let's say even worlds culturally, are with us still,
Hmm.
and we can take we can learn from it. We can see the evolution, how far it is, although it's very recent. Although it's very recent, unfortunately, if
Hmm.
it was possible some 200 years ago to record sounds like this, somehow we would have a better understanding of history. We would have probably the direction of humanity would have been changed just by that,
Well, and you're
because so
right, because
many.
it's being changed right now with just what you're saying.
Yes, yes. If we had recordings of so many enlightened masters or musicians, masters of musicians in those times, let's say even just 200 years ago, we would
Mm.
have been still different musically and everything, culturally, musically, everywhere, everything, because the written texts were made to record some words and all that, but written things are written, and they could have been manipulated or edited in some way, or we don't know. But recording is a recording. It couldn't be so much manipulated, at least
Yeah.
not in those terms.
Well, thank goodness the
So
fidelity has evolved, because we used to hear recordings like this, and now we hear, the full bass.
but Guy, I also see so many people like us are noticing it very seriously and sincerely, what the changes are implying to, and what the changes are actually leading us all to. And fortunately,
Hmm.
there are lots of people. Although the media won't report these things, media is busy reporting negatives of everything,
Hmm.
because that's their business. But they have to
Yeah.
survive through negativity. That's their living they make out of negativity. But out of media not reported all these things, there are thousands and thousands of aware people who are positively and consciously contributing, and they are finding each other through internet and these things.
Hmm.
Internet is doing wonders to connect to people of the same wavelength, of the same evolution, let's say, and they are somehow connecting, maybe unknowingly, knowingly, maybe they are just connecting on some social media for some random chat or whatever it could be. It could
Yes.
trigger to. So
Well,
it's
and that
noticing.
has, every God has a two face, and or two faces. And so this thing that you're describing, that also has two faces, because,
Yes,
the media is so powerful. And,
yes.
we've never experienced this kind of power. As you say, this type of media is developing, but its true strength, its true effect on the psyche is still, we still don't understand its power. It's like when we
Mm,
talked before and I said you can look at a TV screen with no sound and
mm,
it won't hold your attention, but the picture can go blank and you hear the sound and you can sit there and listen to it. I mean, you can
true.
listen to the sound without the picture, and that's how we
Yes.
listen to music. But the more you get exposed to a thing, the more you get used to it. And the more you get exposed to big media, um, the more you get used to that. It's like growing up in a family where there's extreme quiet in your household, and that's what you hear. Or you're growing up in a family where there's a lot of chaos, a lot of people, and a lot of background noise. And that's what you hear in your psyche the rest of the time. People that live in industrial America were exposed to loud machine noise. The factories are very loud. And, anything over 90 decibels for a period of over 30 minutes causes permanent hearing loss. So you can imagine these guys working around machinery it's operating with a sound level of about 110 decibels. Well, then they go home and they're not going to sit down and listen to a piece of classical music. They're going to sit down and listen to maybe some rock and roll or some country western, something that's loud, because it'll break through that background ambience of their psyche. And they can't even hear it all. They only hear what gets through, So there are so many people that are engaged with media that when they go out to hear live music, it doesn't excite them anymore because it doesn't come up to the level of background noise in their psyche.
Their sensitivities and sensibilities are destroyed because of too much, because sensitivity and is very sensitive, like it is, because too much of it, and it loses its or too less of it loses, and too frequent of too often it, and also it will we would stop feeling that the same thing. And so if we are subjected to so much noise all the time, the decibel levels are so high all the time, it is like a torture in that sense, because the society, let's say the collective would keep you up, agitated, excited, and it will not let you calm down. And we understand things only when we are calmed down to a certain level of alpha, beta, gamma radiations or waves, of our mental waves. And then only the real understanding of things can appear. And it will appear if we cannot figure it out. These understandings cannot be figured out like, okay, we are calculating and reached to this level of theoretical conclusion. No, it appears, like a face appears, or like something visually or audio in the frame of some sound or whatever. It will appear, and it will suddenly intuitively appear, let's say. So all these great understandings will be intuitive, because we cannot make them happen like that, because it's beyond us. That's why it is amazing. If it is within us, then it won't be be so much interesting for us, because we have made it. In music also, when we are playing, suddenly some inspiration out of blues, something out of blues, some amazing chord, phrase, progression, or some melody, composition, this and that occurs, and then that takes it to another level, and wow, and then we work around that amazing thing that occurred to us or appeared to us or happened to us. But we couldn't do it. Otherwise, we would have been producing masterpieces like or intuitive things just by almost like hitting a download button, and it's just there. We could do at some level of evolution. Maybe humanity could do it at some, when we are so evolved consciously that we could at will download Akashic records of everything that happened around in the past, and it will download for our own good, for our own benefit.
I think that we're doing that, even to whatever degree the individual is, but I think we forgot how to do that as a race.
Ancients were doing it in their own way. Ancients were doing it. Yes. But it was lost. The whole thing was lost because of the mind intervening, the whole process of the whole thing. Yes, please continue. Sorry, I interrupted.
Well, no, you did. But, you know, there's three levels of thought, you know, in the mind. There's the concrete level, there's the abstract level, and there's the, you know, what I call the cosmic level. But the
Mm,
concrete level is obsessed by the perceptible, what you
mm,
see, touch, and feel in front of you. The abstract, which is a part of us all, but you know, many of us don't don't focus enough to listen to it. And I think that's
mm,
what it is. I don't think we've lost it. I think that's a
mm.
part of our innate being, but I think we've lost the ability to focus on it because we've
True,
lost the awareness of it, that it exists. But you
true.
know, it's it's so obvious, you know, like I said before, the
Mm,
universe was created by sound. Sound is so beneficial. I wish the medical communities would start
yes.
investigating this more, because wouldn't it be great if
Mm,
you could use a machine similar to an ultrasound machine to cure cancer or to
mm,
cure an interior malady, you know?
mm,
Um,
mm,
when I was working at the veterans hospitals, there were a lot of veterans there. You know, we'd had, you know, come out of the Vietnam War, and we were involved in, you know, we in America were involved in all these minor skirmishes all over the world, you know, because of the Cold War. The
mm,
veterans would come back and their psyches were traumatized. And so they
mm,
came out with a diagnosis called PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder.
mm,
And drugs don't cure that. And the first
mm,
approach was, let's medicate them, you know, because at least if we can't cure them, we can keep them from getting out in the streets and, you know, causing havoc.
mm,
But
mm,
um, in one of the places where I was involved, it was a psych ward, a psychology ward. And
mm,
they wanted me to come in and with music try to make a relaxation meditative state for these veterans that they could engage in, you know,
mm,
while they were staying in the hospital. So I started with an acoustical guitar, um, coming in with some very haunting chords, very
mm,
relaxing, playing in a slow kind of meditation, almost like background music. And we hooked up these veterans to what they call an alpha feedback machine, and it measures your alpha brain waves. And we discovered that this kind of musical influence calmed these people down.
mm,
It made them relax. So I thought, wow, hey, I've discovered something here. So I'm engaging in this. Well, my mentor was a Nigerian king named Fela Shawande. He was a
mm,
jazz musician who was very popular in Great Britain in the
mm,
1930s. Queen Elizabeth gave him a Member of the British Empire Award. He
mm,
was also one of the first people to use an electric instrument in jazz, which was the Hammond organ.
mm,
He played with Fats
mm,
Waller and Adelaide Hall. The reason I'm bringing this up is because he told me, he says, well, you know, those chords are really effective, but the one thing that you're lacking is a melody. And I said, well, why do we need a
mm,
melody? He said, because you
mm,
have to direct that meditation. You can't just let it go rampant, because you're going to
mm,
be putting people in the state with those soothing chords. But
mm,
they're reacting to it also. They're the oppositional force that engage in this and that make it manifest, you know, within that environment there. And if they're involved in negativity, that's going to induce the negativity or bad feelings or bad memories. So you need to have a melody. He's telling me I need to have a melody to direct that focus, to give it some direction, so that people will not go back and focus on the negativity in the interior, but to calm
mm,
that interior and to smooth over that negativity so that you can affect healing, you know.
mm,
So that's one of the things where, you know, intuitively I was seeking those chords and I could tell that I was on something. But then the
mm,
wisdom of my mentor said, you need to
mm,
have that melody. That's your missing
mm,
piece. Does that make any
mm.
sense?
Definitely, because I have also been doing meditation music, and in when I play Indian music, because I do through Indian music the meditation
Mm-hmm.
music. So we don't anyway play chords. We play raga structures, let's say modalities of sound
Uh-huh.
scales, which are in a way a different sort of not chords, but harmonic combinations of various notes in a
Yeah.
particular way that makes a raga. So so it can have an ascending order and a different descending order and some changes here and
Yes.
there, and it will have another effect or magic. So when I have been doing the same thing, but not with chords, but with these kinds of melodic modalities.
Yeah.
And we use drones. Drones means this continuous humming of no of a note, and
Sympathetic resonation of a harmonic string.
Yeah, yeah. So, like we use in tanpuras and the continuously it emits a sound of sa sa, the d or a tonic
Mm-hmm.
sound, and on that tonic we create our music, which in itself the whole process is melodic and harmonic at the same time, because
Mm-hmm.
it's connecting to the tonic, and somehow the raga modalities will be harmonic to that tonic, which is
Yes.
always present, and and uh, of course there will be melodies, because we are covering the whole spectrum of the healing, and because in India anyway the music was in the beginning for spiritual purposes most of the times.
Yeah.
Then it gone down to religious purposes, and then some other social purposes, and
Mm-hmm.
the levels of music were like that. So
Yeah. But
so in
see,
Indian music also
your
we do the same.
but your
Sorry.
music is from nature, and Western music is artificial. You know, art, when you say artificial, it means art face. The definition of art is a deception because you're portraying a thing. It's not the actual thing. Well,
Yes.
when we started coming out with Western style music, and then the tempered scale, you know, in Bach's time, um,
Mm,
that made the music artificial. And I don't mean that in a
mm,
negative sense, but it was an art face that was evolved from a natural thing. For instance, one of the reasons they developed the tempered scale is because when you were playing on a stringed instrument, you couldn't change keys, because if you cut a
mm,
frequency in half, you get a Pythagorean scale. But if you
mm,
temper the intervals, you get like what we call the Western scale. Well, now that
mm,
influenced all Western music from then on.
mm,
And so we got a connection with the art of it, but
mm,
somehow we lost the connection with the nature that
mm.
inspired that art, you know.
True.
I think
Mm,
as that progressed and more popular music became, you know, widespread, like around the Romantic era, late
mm,
1890s or early 1900s, early, you know, 20s and 30s,
mm,
that started to change because people
mm,
now understood the emotions of what they were listening to. But
mm,
you know, Western music, you know, in many senses, it depends on that production that we were talking about and the recording of it.
mm,
But
mm,
in one sense, it loses the cosmic nature that I
mm,
hear in Indian music. You
mm.
know, and when somebody plays a chord on a sitar, it's not like strumming a chord on a guitar. It's really more like an
No, no.
arpeggio, because it goes,
Yes.
you know, that's my arpeggio, you know.
And it doesn't sound good also in sometimes. I mean, sometimes it can out in some context, but mostly it won't sound very, very good, because it's not made exactly for that, and the tonic is already running, and if you are not tuned that chord into that context, musical context, it will be in fact not good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, I wrote this piece years ago. I wrote it
Uh,
on a conventional guitar. I told you about it before. I call it the
uh,
Fire Raga. And
uh,
but with regards to what we were talking about, what I was trying to do was imitate a sitar on my instrument to tell the story of the king who brought, wanted his sage to bring down the fires of heaven, and they were all consumed. But then one of the things I wondered about, especially as you and I made contact, when Indian people are so used to hearing their ragas and their musical forms, what would they think hearing my fire raga with their mindset, with their cultural mind, and would they like it? Would they think it was a shallow imitation? Would they think it was so different that they couldn't listen to it? I mean, it's interesting, how people would react, I mean, I've heard very accomplished classical musicians, Western classical musicians, who would play on a street corner and nobody would turn around. Nobody would turn around. There was a very famous cellist, Yo-Yo Ma, who played in the New York subway. God, he played the most beautiful instrument. And people were just walking by him, totally oblivious to it, So, it's like having a conversation. There has to be a receiver, Communication and sound all have this one thing in common. They need a source, they need a medium, and they need a receiver. They need something to generate the music. We have to have the air to play it on, and then we have to have the human ear to listen to it. True. There was a question that people would pose in college when I was there. And they would say, well, if a tree falls in the forest and there's nobody to hear it, is there sound? And I started thinking about that. And I started thinking about, well, you have to have that receiver. And the reason that receiver has to be there is because there has to be something to react to it. It's that opposite thing again, that work of opposites. Because what you do as a perceiver is you create a resistance to that wave of energy. And that resistance is your eardrums and your ear hearing mechanism that hears it. And I thought, well, how can I make that so that people can understand that? And I thought to myself, well, the sun shines 100% of the time. No cessation. It shines, it emanates energy 100% of the time. Well, if you're in a rocket ship and you're in outer space, it's not daylight, is it? It's all black. It doesn't become daylight until it hits the resistance of the earth. And then the earth and its atmosphere manifests the breakdown of the color spectrum. And that happens with all energy, because the only difference between forms of energy is the wavelength. Sound is from 20 to 20,000 cycles or hertz per second. Radar, light, all those other things, ultrasound, are just an increase in the frequency of the same energy. So like in our Bible, it says, God says, let there be light, and well, that's a manifestation of sound. So you have to have the resistance, but it's not the resistance in the sense of I'm fighting against you. It's in the sense of I'm stopping this energy.
Receiving.
Yes, and it's synthesizing through me and through my consciousness. So one of the things with all of this media that we were talking about is I think that people, not all people, please, I don't mean to generalize, but a lot of people are becoming so influenced by that and so used to it that they're actually losing the ability to hear the quieter stuff or to understand the quieter stuff. And I'm not just talking about music. I'm talking about across the board with relations with people and everything, And so, I have hopes that when all this COVID and everything is over, that there's going to be a sea change, what we call a sea change in the music business and in the field and the art of music. And it's going to go either way. It's going to go where people just don't want to hear live music anymore. They've lost their interest, or they're going to be starving for it.
Yes. The human necessity it's a human necessity almost, because it's a sensual thing. It's coming from a sense, from five senses, and all senses are needed for human experience: eyes, nose,
Hmm.
touch, hearing. The whole, they give us the complete spectrum of human existence. That's how we could feel that we are here. The body is here, we are here, and we are experiencing all these things through senses, and that's why they are all sensual in that context. And so
Hmm.
that sensual satiety is needed as a human being. In degrees may differ, but like we need food, so we need that also. I mean, of course, as we evolve, the need would be more subtle and subtle and subtle, and perhaps theoretically speaking, it may drop at some point, and then we are simply calm, and there's nothing, no wave on the ocean, and that kind of thing may happen. Enlightenment, what it is called, like that.
Yes.
So, but we are still sensual people. We are operating from the senses, and we need, as much as we need food, as much as we need good fragrances, as much as we need good sights, and ears also need good music. And this is a simple human need in a way. It won't go away. So we will get some work when the
Well,
COVID is gone.
from your lips to God's ears, I hope so.
Let's play something, Guy, for the end.
All
It's
right.
been so wonderful.
And you're going to be in D, right?
I'm, like you said, C change, but I'm in D change.
Okay. Are you in D?
Yes.
Okay. Good, because I have to pick up the appropriate instrument. You know, all of these
Yeah,
guitars
yeah,
that you
yeah,
saw down here,
yes.
each one of
Yes,
them is
yes,
tuned to
yes,
a
yes.
different, you know.
Different key. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Ah, ha, ha. Which one is this? Can you please show?
Yes.
Ah, ha.
This is called an English Electronics Tone Master. I bought this in Nashville when we were down there recording our album. And this is a 1950s model. But this fella, his name was John English, decided to make a lap steel guitar that was better than the others, a higher quality, a more serious instrument. And this was just before the pedal steel really came out, you know. So I was lucky enough to buy this puppy in this music store in Nashville, where every other guitar in that shop started at $20,000. I mean, he had guitars that the Rolling Stones owned, that Eric Clapton owned, you know. And so I'm looking at these guitars on there, and they're, you know, $40,000 for this and $25,000 for this. And I pick up
My
this
God.
guitar and I start playing it. And I said, "Oh boy, I wonder how much this is." And the guy goes, "Oh, I'll go and ask, you know." And he comes back and he says 250. And I said, 250? You know, he says, "Yeah, $250." And I thought, oh, you know, I couldn't get the money fast enough, you know, because that's a pittance, you know. And this is my go-to guitar when I play out. You know, I do a lot of stuff on it, you know.
Yes.
So what do you want to play?
Almost D minor.
Okay.
Ah,
You play and I'll follow.
okay. We can make a progression like D minor, G, C, and D minor again.
Okay.
C, D, G, C,
Can you hear me?
not much. Please put
Say again?
a little more volume. Is possible? Play
Oh, okay.
louder or yeah.
Well, I'm having trouble hearing you on my phone because when I start to play, it drowns you out. So I was trying to be in the background, you know. One of the things with American musicians, when people jam, everybody wants to turn their volume up to 11. So I'm trying to
Yeah.
do just the opposite.
Yes.
So,
You play something. I will join you. I will follow you this time.
all right. All right. Well, this is D major, and it's just a 1-4-5 progression.
Okay.
And it goes like. If they hold me here much longer, I'll probably go mad all by myself. I really need somebody's help here. There's a man up there with a judgment chair, God's right arm with a double pair. That's right. Would you do me a favor? Would you show me your instrument?
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
Wait a moment.
Oh.
It's a big one.
Boy, would I like to get my hands on that puppy. That's beautiful.
Ah.
That's beautiful. It looks like a combination of a sitar and an archtop guitar.
Yes, it is. It's made like this design. Yes, sure.
So how many drone strings are there on that?
11, I think.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's heavenly.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to get my hands on one of those. Now, is that a custom instrument, or do they make those?
They make in Kolkata, and I can later give you the email or phone or some kind of information.
Okay.
And you can ask them as per your.
Yeah. And then pay the $8,000 shipping to America.
Yes, that's a tricky point. Yeah. But anyway, it can be, and some. I can also get you in touch with some musicians who are in USA and who might probably slide guitar players in USA, maybe in California, or they might probably have a better understanding of how this whole thing works.
Oh, that would be great.
Makers and I share that.
Thank you. I would appreciate that. And speaking of California, I heard from a friend of yours, a guy named Swami Shovananda Puri.
Yes.
Yeah. He sent me a message. I think he wants me to be on his TV program, you know.
He's not my friend. He also asked me, because maybe he's asking musicians around who can join his programs and all that. So
yeah. Do you know this person?
No, not personally. Only on Facebook.
Okay.
Only on Facebook.
Yeah. Are you going to do it?
I have said yes, but then let me see how. What are the real terms and conditions? How to do it? What is the format and all that?
Exactly.
So
yes.
Yeah, because I don't know how they do it. It should. I should be comfortable in their way of doing it, because probably I don't know how they would need me or my music there. So once it's clear, then I might do it, no problem, if it's not so much of a botheration of anything.
Yeah, cool.
Yes. So guys, so much thank you for everything. This had been a very, very the longest episode so far on this series, almost 1.5 hours. And I enjoyed every moment of it, the music, the talks, the everything that we conversed today and listened today.
Likewise for me too, my friend, my brother. I really enjoyed this.
Yes,
it was exciting.
Yes, me too. Yes. So thank you so much. All the best, and we'll stay connected. And let's see if we can do some music across sometimes somewhere, and
Yeah.
it would be really nice. Yeah.
Something with a little rehearsal too.
Yeah. With rehearsal
Yeah.
too. Yes. Okay.
All right.
Okay, Guy. Good night from here, and probably have a good day. You please have a good day, and I take.
Right back at you, and the blessings be upon you, my brother.
Yes, you too. God bless.
Bless.